deadly if swallowed. Written and performed by Jordan Krumbine. It was an odd click, click, clicking that finally woke me. And when I slowly swam back to consciousness, or whatever this hazy, jello-like equivalent was, it wasn't that strange metal circle that hovered some distance in the air above my head that left me confused. Click, 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 click. It wasn't the stray leaf, old, brown, damp, stuck to my face, nor, judging by the scratchy growth across my jaw, how long I had been unconscious. Likewise, I almost immediately noticed a peculiar heaviness in the air, moisture so thick I could practically taste it on my tongue. It tasted like swamp, old, decaying plants, bitter soil, death. It made the underside of my tongue tingle all the way to the back of my mouth. It was an unpleasant feeling that seemed to trickle down my throat, making me lurch up from the ground and cough something hacking, wet, and phlegmy. But that wasn't what confused me. Click, 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 click. My head throbbed from the sudden movement. Across the battlefield of my esophagus, the liquid contents of my stomach waged a brief war with that unpleasant tingle, and my eyes, I could only assume they must have been bloodshot red, wept the empty, emotionless tears of the chronically hungover. My jello vision swam as the ground underneath me made a fine impression of an angry ocean full of vile retribution. Okay, maybe the tears were of the chronically drunk. But even that wasn't what confused me. People got wasted for plenty of reasons, and although not a single one was coming to mind, the fact that I was drunk out of my skull meant I probably had a good reason for it. And that metal ring in the sky? A basketball hoop. I had been lying on a half-court. A large tree sat in the corner, and across the way was a pink, stuccoed building. Click, 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 click. I wore an old pair of jeans, a few layers of shirts, judging from the smell. The last time I had a shower must have been before the last time I had a shave. Apparently, I was drunk and homeless. But even that wasn't what confused me. I realized I had no idea what my name was. I had no idea how old I was. Based on the pain in my bones and the wrinkles in my hands, I guessed I had already experienced at least a half-century of life. Hell, I had no idea what fucking country I was in. But even that wasn't what confused me. Click, 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 click. It was the batteries. One of those long packages of double A's. The cardboard on the back was old, peeling, and just tenuously attached at a corner to the plastic shell that contained the batteries. When I lifted the cardboard to inspect, the corner tore away, and the battery spilled onto the court in a small clatter, rolling in all directions. The batteries were an assortment of brands, both the big names and the dollar store generics. I'm not sure how I knew, but I think they were used. I was also sure they were important. At least I think they were. For some reason. Maybe? I started gathering the scattered batteries, pushing my aching body to my hands and knees as I reached for the ones that had rolled away. The throbbing in my head set off a wave of nausea, and the battlefield in my esophagus turned into a war zone. I gagged and heaved those liquid contents, splattering brown and black goop onto the batteries and across the half-court. It wasn't just that my memory was foggy, it simply wasn't there. I felt like throwing up should have released the pressure in my head, but it didn't. The humidity in the air pressed against my eyeballs, and tension twisted along my optic nerves, knifing through my gray matter like a hand through a box of glass shards. Click, 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 click. That damn clicking. Shut up! The voice sounded foreign, old, and cranky. It wasn't until the words were long gone that I realized the voice was my own. The clicking stopped abruptly, as if suddenly aware it wasn't alone in this watered-down group-think committed to death bastardized paradise. For some reason, I was afraid. And I was confused by that, too. Because it wasn't just fear. Even without my memory, I knew I was the kind of grizzled old soul who had been places and seen things. Oh, hell, even my mysterious lack of memory didn't exactly scare the shit out of me. But that clicking, that incessant, unearthly, repeating click, click, click. It was more than just fear that sucked the oxygen out of my lungs. It was dread. And not knowing why only made it worse. I backhanded my mouth, wiping away stray gobs of battle damage from the great esophageal war before wiping my vomit off the scattered batteries in a frantic hurry. I tried not to think about the warmth or the watery quality or why it looked so damn black, focusing instead on making sure the slippery batteries didn't escape my grasp, wiping them across my dirty shirt before placing them back into the plastic shell as quickly as... Click, 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 click! Fuck it. I scooped up what I could grab in a single hand, black vomit spilling through my grip and dripping to the surface of the half-court. I staggered to my feet as I shoved the last batteries into the shell. I held the cardboard backing in place and stumbled forward, my feet catching stray batteries and slipping in the vomit, twisting my ankle. Ah, fuck! I grunted, twisting in the air in a desperate attempt to keep whatever balance I had, my hands clasped tightly around the package of random batteries. Why the fuck were these fucking batteries so goddamn important? The clicking was getting louder. With an angry huff, I steadied myself before stepping off the basketball court, and started for the far side of the pink stuccoed building, away from the sidewalk that wrapped around the side, leading inevitably to that dreadful clicking. It was a clubhouse, or a neighborhood community center. A pool was surrounded by a tall black fence. A pair of tennis courts sat beyond the pool, and beyond the tennis courts I saw the first of endless rows of cookie-cutter houses. Of All the fucking places I had to find myself in. It just had to be the suburbs. Probably had a fucking gate at the entrance, wherever the fuck that was. I don't know why I had such an instinctive loathing for the literally vomit-inducing idyllic suburban fantasy. Still, one thing was clear. There was no way in hell I belonged here, wherever the fuck here was, and for that matter, wait. I halted on a stretch of perfectly manicured St. Augustine grass halfway between a neighborhood playground and the nearest copy-paste single-family home backyard. I stuck my arm out, using the palm of my hand to brace my unsteady body against a tree trunk while I gasped for air. I remembered something. It had been the night before. I had been inside one of those stupid fucking houses. A slider door on a back patio had been unlocked. The house had been empty. The residents had been in the process of moving out. Lots of boxes. Barren walls. In the kitchen, one counter covered in expensive bottles in various degrees of empty. That explained the hangover. I remembered guzzling everything I could. Frantic. Panicked. I had wanted it. Needed it. No idea why. And then I remember tearing open those moving boxes and rummaging through drawers, desperately looking for... I don't know what. I don't know why. And somewhere beyond that pink, stuccoed clubhouse, that infernal clicking had circled back around. I growled. At the clicking or that dread that spiked in my chest, I'm not really sure which. I pushed off the tree, crossed into that backyard, and came around the corner of the house, slipping into that space between suburban homes that's definitely not an alley because it's in the picture-fucking-perfect suburbs. Oh, it was a junk drawer. The night before, when I was ransacking the empty house, I found what I was looking for in a junk drawer in the kitchen. It was the cabinet opposite the treasure trove of booze. The batteries. Because that was where happy suburban drones stored them. In a junk drawer. In the kitchen. In their happy little cookie-cutter slice of fucking paradise. I found the batteries because I was looking for the batteries. I remembered that much. Now, if only I could remember why the fuck I was looking for the batteries in the first place. My shoulder dragged across stucco as I stumbled down the side of the house. I eyeballed the quiet street beyond, a row of houses on the other side of the street, and another row of houses beyond that, and another row beyond that. Click, 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 click. My breath caught in the wreckage of my throat, and the dread tightened my chest until my left arm began to throb. I gritted my teeth and started panting through my nose, inching toward the corner of the house and closer to the clicking that loomed. What in the fuck was it? After gathering whatever courage my drunk, amnesiac, fear-addled brain could muster, I finally peered around the corner, blinking away the stinging sweat that trickled into my eyes. The clicking stopped. My brain felt like it was being torn in two. On one hand, unfathomable dread causing some kind of cardiac episode. On the other hand, a small man with an expensive haircut, wearing athletic shorts and expensive running shoes, walking a chihuahua. The clicking was the dog's nails on the sidewalk. There was no goddamn reason I should be afraid of a tiny fucking dog. And yet, the chihuahua was looking right at me. Warmth spread in my crotch as my bladder released itself, a primal response to this inexplicable dread.
You okay there, pal?
The man with the expensive haircut asked. I didn't look at him. I couldn't, because I couldn't tear my eyes away from that stupid fucking dog. A pitiful, ugly growl began in the small dog's throat. An icy chill needled up the vertebrae of my spine. Nausea twisted my gut. Why was I so afraid of this tiny, insignificant little dog? Like an annoying fleck of dust in my eye, something was irritating my brain. It was a memory desperate to be recalled. A foggy, blurry mist that refused to resolve into substantive detail. I knew why the little shit of a dog inspired such dread. I just couldn't remember it. The chihuahua pulled at its leash, and the asshole with the haircut stepped forward, permitting the dog to advance on me. I'm pretty sure I must have taken shits bigger than that fucking dog. So why was Haircut acting like the little fuck was the one in charge? The chihuahua's lips curled as the growl got bigger. Too big. Like it didn't sound right coming from something so small.
You don't belong here, do ya?
If my fingers weren't wrapped so tightly around the package of batteries, they would have been trembling. The chihuahua moved from the sidewalk to the grass. Tufts of its short, brown fur bristled and stood on end along its back. The dog's eyes grew larger with each step. Larger and redder. Its lips peeled and curled, bare teeth pushing further from the gum line as white drool gathered and dripped. The dog's head canted sideways, hesitated, paw frozen in the air mid-step. Its shoulder lurched as its jaw fell open, its tongue unspooling in some kind of pink, gooey tentacle. The appendage whipped through the air, snapping over the dog and flicking gobs of drool everywhere. Haircut acted like this kind of thing happened every fucking day, right between pissing on fire hydrants and taking a shit in the neighbor's front yard. The chihuahua's already ragged mouth split open wider as its eyes bugged out of its skull. Its snout twisted and bulged, those snarled teeth getting even more vicious and deadly. The growl mutated into something ear-splitting and heinous, stirring an unwanted movement in my bowels.
No, I guess you don't belong here, now do you?
Haircut said, his voice annoying and somehow punchable. Yeah, no shit I didn't belong here. And apparently I wasn't the only one. The mutant alien dog thing moved closer, and the fucktard human attached to the leash followed obediently behind. This was not going to end well. And here I was, oblivious to my own name, clueless as to what I was doing in this suburban hellscape, and still, I had no idea what the fuck I was doing with all those stupid fucking batteries. The Chihuahua monster hissed and snarled a violent declaration before lunging forward. And then everything clicked. Well, some of it, at least. This was where they sent people like me. The homeless. The useless. The people this shit society found no value in. No value, that is, except for food. Food for the dogs. Or whatever the hell that ugly piece of demon shit actually was. Yeah, now I remembered. Not all of it, but enough. Certainly enough to know why I wanted to drown the memories away with all that booze the night before. Hell, just looking at that pint-sized, venom-spitting hellspawn made me want to throw myself at the nearest bottle. But there was something else I remembered. Something they never wanted me to know. Something they never wanted any of us to know. And it had absolutely everything to do with those stupid motherfucking batteries. I stepped around the corner with entirely too much confidence for an old man facing down an alien monster dog. I tossed aside the cardboard back of the battery package and grabbed one of the AA. Pieces of vomit were still drying, but I knew it wouldn't matter. "Here, doggy," I said, holding the battery out like it was a goddamn milk bone. The monster mutt reacted immediately, whimpering as it sat, that tentacle tongue lolling and its eyes widening with want. Haircut panicked and lunged forward, but it was too damn late. I tossed the battery into the air. The AA arced. The monster mutt leaped for its treat. I didn't need to see what happened next. My memories were coming back stronger now. Ever since I had been dropped into this nightmare, dismissed from society as little more than an alternative food supply for our alien overlords, I had dispatched a good handful of those ugly patrol sentry fucks. I couldn't begin to understand the logic or the science or whatever. The best I could figure was that the batteries were like chocolate to these four-legged shitbags. They couldn't resist it, even if it killed them. The poison in the batteries would travel up the organic leash to that cancerous human-shaped fuck at the other end, plunging the whole of the thing into what I desperately hoped were the most agonizing, convulsive death throes it would ever experience. No, I didn't need to see any of that. There were too many more of those little monster shit fucks that needed one last treat for bad behavior.